Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sumukharcha ekadantascha kapilo gajakarnakaha. Lambodharascha vikato vignarajo vinayakaha. Dhoomaketurganadhyakshaha palachandro gajananaha. Vakratundaha surpakarno herambah skandapurvajaha. Suklam Baradharam Vishnum Sativardham Chaturbhujam Prasanavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopasantaye Yasyad Virada Vaktradhya Parishadhya Paraksatam Vignanti Satatam Vishwaksenam Samasraye Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Aklishtakarine Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Gurave Buddhisakshine Krishna Dvaipayanam Vyasam Sarva Bhuta Hiteratam Vedabcha Bhaskaram Vande Samadhi Nilayam Munim Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Jayam Tato Jayam Udirajet. Now, Slokam number 13 in this Adhyayam. I want to cover that as a reminder. Tilajjamanaya yasya satum iksha pate amuyam vimuhitaha vikasyante Mama aham iti durdhiyaha. Mesmerized and deceived. And by this entity, entity or non-entity called Maya, which actually is ashamed to stand in front of Bhagavan. And not only that, when it tries to do that, as Bhagavan in his presence, it actually disappears. But mesmerized by that non-entity, we all talk nonsense by saying, this is mine and I am doing this. I have achieved this. I am successful. All these belong to me. This mama aham iti vikattante. Vikattante, talking nonsense, durdhiyaha, ill-conceived, not well thought through. So this is the Maya that we are all caught in. And next time we say that I have done this, you've done a great job, or whatever it is, think for a second that it is not me. It's the illusion. Actually, Bhagavan who is doing everything. That's an important reminder. We have to keep reminding ourselves. Narayana para veda deva Narayana ankajaha Narayana para loka Narayana para makhaha Narayana paro yogaha Narayana param tapaha Narayana param jnanam Narayana parakatihi. Okay, now let us move on with Bhagavan praise to Slokam 22, where we came up to Slokam 21. In 21, now, Brahma is after explaining to Narada, it is not me who is doing this. Yes, you are right. What we talked about, that I am the Jagat Guru and the creator and all that, but that is because you are all caught in Maya. There is a power, a supreme power superior to me. And all I am doing, which is great, is whatever it is created, I am just seeing it. That's all. Whatever is happening, he is already doing. And he talked about Maya, and then talks about who this Narayana is, and that's Parabrahma, the supreme most entity. And what did it try to do? What did it not try to do? What did it do? It said, Yekoham Bahusya. I am one, I am going to become, I am becoming many. Now, in that process, the creation started. For that, this Bhagavan Seva Narayana, whatever name you assign to him, it does not matter, it still cannot capture it. That entity, it had, when it decided, the Lord of Maya So in front of whom Maya is ashamed to be present and completely disappears. That's his Lord. Said the Ekoham Bhavusyam. And that itself, the fact when you have a projection, in a holographic projection from an object, from the substance, even if you can have 100 projections or 2 projections or 1,000,000 projections, all the projections are illusionary. They are not real. That is Maya, right? So using that power of illusion, Bhagavan projected himself, even though he's one, into many. Now the projection process uses time, action, and swabhavam. Karma, kalam, karma, and swabhavam. Karma, we talked about, is not only work itself, but how well one does the work, right? That the efficiency, the approach, the attitude with which work is being done, that is actually karma. So these 3 tools, if you were, immediately when Bhagavan had a sankalpam to create many from one, immediately these 3 tools approached him. They manifested. They said, using the tools, the illusion is going to be created. The Maya is created. So one appears as many. Right? Now, that is up to 21. Moving forward, these 2 organs, tools, whatever you want to call them, kalam, karmam, and swabhavam. Right? Those are the first 3. Remember that. Then, how did they help, and what did they do in what we perceive? Right now, I am perceiving myself different from Bhagavan. So this has come from kalam, karmam, and swabhav. Remember that. How did it happen? That is what being described in a bit more detail in the next few slokas. And you need to understand it very carefully. So I don't expect the first time I'm covering this with you that everything will become clear. And if you guys have questions, we can definitely bring them up and we will discuss. But it's a phenomenal explanation of how my mind today, this moment, is creating. How your mind is creating your word. How my mind is creating my word. You are thinking, your mind is thinking that you are sitting there on the phone and listening to the Bhagavatam being spoken by me. And how many creations have you done? Not only you have created yourself, you have created the telephone, you have created the Bhagavatam, you have created me, you have a certain idea about me, you have a certain judgment about the Bhagavatam you are receiving. So many things are being created every continuous moment. How is this creation taking? This is what that next few Slokams are going to explain. It is not like Srimad Narayana created something in the past. No. It is each one of us, every moment, are doing this. In doing this creation, there are 3 things that we employ fundamentally. Kalam, karmam, and swabhav. And how each one of these is participating and the role that each one is playing in the creation that I am doing in my mind this minute. You can apply this. Okay? That's how you have to approach this. Because that is what Bhagavan is. He's not somewhere else. Okay? So he is doing this in you, in me, and playing this beautiful Leela. So Slokam 22. With that brief introduction, I want to move on to Slokam 22. And that says, the kala, the time, what did it do? How does it do? Associated with the Supreme Being. Very important. Nothing is devoid of Supreme Being. Please remember that. Supreme Being, Vasudeva, Narayana, whatever Atma, whatever you want to call it, Prema, doesn't matter. There is only one entity. All names belong to it. All names. Okay, not a single name is accepted. Everything belongs to it. All forms of it, or that particular Supreme Being. But the words and forms cannot catch it. Also remember that. Okay. But for our sake, we are using these words. So that supreme being, that entity, that prema, he says, Mamevamso Jivaloke Sarvabhuta Sanatanaha. Remember that. That's the truth that is being spoken by this supreme being. It says, my amsam. It is only not part of me. Part of me means immediately we think quantitatively. Like whether it's one unit and divided into four, it becomes four parts. It's not like that. It is like if you take a sugar and if you taste it, the tasteness of the sweetness, the essence of the taste is one part of the taste. That's, how can you divide it? It's indivisible. But still it is one part. It is not whole. Okay? So associated with that sweetness of prema, we will put it the way I enjoy it. Associated with the sweetness of prema, this kala, time, what did it do? It disturbs the equilibrium of the gunas, sattvam, rajas, and tamasam. These are the three qualities for prakriti. In nature, in the universe, everything and anything has got these three qualities, including happiness, including enjoyment, intelligence, fulfillment, whatever you think of, okay, a speck of sand, okay, it doesn't matter. And everything has got these three gunas. But when the gunas are in absolute equilibrium, which means there is no differentiation between them, then that becomes gunatitaya, beyond the gunas. That is the equilibrium state. Now, what disturbs that equilibrium? Time. Kala. Kala disturbs that equilibrium. Then the three gunas manifest themselves. And they continuously change in a dynamic, kaleidoscopic manner. They are never constant. It is not correct to say, I'm 1/3 sattvic gunam, 1/3 rajasic gunam, and 1/3 tamasic. It doesn't work like that, right? At a given moment, I may be very sattvic, 100% sattvic. Next moment, I may be 100% rajasic, become very angry and shout. So, continuously it changes. That disturbance of the equilibrium of the gunas is done by time. So, remember that. First point that is made in Slokam 22. Then, karma. What does the action do? Before karma, let's go to svabhava. Okay, svabhava. Svabhavam of prema is prema only. Svabhavam of sweetness is sweetness only. Okay. Now, see, when an ant goes to a lump of sugar, why does the ant go to the lump of sugar? Think for a second. Okay. We think it is going there to take sugar from it. No. Why does it want to take the sugar? Because of its sweetness. Okay. The lump of sugar also has got the sweetness, and it wants it to attract the ant. So both of them mutually attract each other. Both the lump of sugar and the ant attract each other. Only thing is, one of them is mobile and the other is not. But the attracting essence remains the same in both. The sweetness of sugar. That sweetness, the lump of sugar, and the sweetness in the ant are one and the same. That is why they attract each other. That is the svabhavam. As an example, in sweetness I gave. Svabhavam of prema is prema only. Svabhavam of love is love only. There's no other way you can describe it. So what this love did, ekoham bahusyam, it manifested itself into multiple categories. To be very precise, 8.4 million categories. We call them beings in the universe. So one svabhavam in all the 8.4 billion types of creation is one and the same. That is prema only. But they all appear different. That is the role svabhavam has played. Now karma. Now karma plays a very important thing. This is created, so the gunas are now disturbed. Sattvic, rajasic, tamasic gunas now coming to play, and the various categories are there, and each category is attracting each other. Because the natural swabhavam is oneness only, is prema only. But if the ant does not move towards the lump of sugar, what happens? Suppose, imagine for a second, ant is also full of sweetness and lump of sugar is also full of sweetness. But the ant does not move towards it. What will happen? The sweetness is not shared. Right? The sweetness is not shared. So, that is unnatural, against the law of nature. So, when there are so many categories that have been created, the work that the ant does in moving towards it, what is the reason that karma takes place is to share the swabhavam of these various appearances, various forms, various embodiments. Each swabhavam is one and the same, but they need to be shared. And that sharing is what karma does. So these are the three entities that happened when Bhagavan, when Supreme Being, Srimad Narayana or Prema decided, Ekoham Bahusyam. I am one, I become many. The moment that Sankalpam, because everything happens with Bhagavan Sankalpam. When Bhagavan wills something, it happens instantly. Okay? The process of happening are these three: Kala, Karma, and Swabhavam. Number 22. I explain the meaning to you in English so that you can understand the slokam a little bit better. Kala guna yatikaraha parinamaha swabhavataha karmano janma bhagataha purusha adhishtitat abhut. Purusha adhishtitat kala guna yatikaraha parinamaha swabhavataha karmano janma mahataha purusha adhishtitat abhut. Now, one other thing I did not explain when I spoke to you in English before the beginning of the slokam. Karma is there to share the swabhava. And the karma shares the swabhavam based upon what guna is predominant. If the sattvic guna is predominant, it automatically shares it. It's very easy. If tamasic guna is predominant, then even by doing work, the natural swabhavam, the prema, which is swabhavam, equal to prema. That is the natural being of everything, natural essence of everything. That is not shared between the various categories of in creation. With rajasic, again, it is not shared because the selfishness, so many things come in. But next question is, why should it be shared? Why that question comes? Because that is Mahat Tattvam. That is the basic reason, the cause for creation. Mahat Tattvam, the greatest Tattvam, that's the truth. And based upon the truth, these three things operate. Okay? So now let's go to the slokam. Kalat gunam yatikaraha parinamaha swabhavataha karmano janma mahataha purusha adhishtitate abhute. Purusha adhishtitate, associated with that purusha, with that supreme being, associated with that. That being Mamaivamso Jiva Loke. Remember, it is not separate from it. Associated with means it's an English way of saying immersed in it, being part of it. Okay, that is what we're talking about. Okay, being part of it. Like the way you can think, it is not separate. It is very much part of it. It is also, again, when you say part of it, don't think in terms of quantitative understanding. It's qualitative understanding. So, if you take a bowl full of let us say liquid prema, nothing but love, and you go and sprinkle it, okay, each sprinkle, each drop that falls in different places will be equally prema only. So the quantity is not what we are talking of, but quality, the essence. So associate, immersed in that essence of the Supreme Being, Purusha Adhishtitate, established in it, Kalat, Kalam, Guna Yatikaraha. it disturbs the guna, the equilibrium of the guna. That is why, if you understand it this way, so many people we see in our life, and our behavior, others' behavior, everything keeps on changing. Nothing is constant, isn't it? But when somebody behaves with us in a way that we don't like, it is not only that person's behavior that's the problem, it is also my reaction to it, right? So this is how the gunas play. So look at it as an interplay of gunas between the various objects. If I go to an animal and the animal tries to hit me, that means I am creating fear in that animal. That's why the animal reacts like that. Okay, the snake bites me because snake is afraid that I'm going to harm it. That's why it is biting, right? It's a reaction. It is that's the way the gunas of the various objects, okay, interact, and that happens only in the course of time. Something may take place 1 second, some may take place half an hour, some may take place 5 minutes. Doesn't matter. But time disturbs those equilibrium of the gunas. Remember the guna, jatikaraha, kala, parinamaha, svabhavataha, svabhavam, the essence, the fundamental nature of prema, parinamaha, it transforms itself into various categories, various appearances that we see in creation, all the appearances. And that, as our scriptures tell us, is 8.4 million varieties of creation of that. And we are only one of them. Please remember that. Human being is only one variety of creation. Now, karmano, janma, the mahata. Okay. The mahata means it is mahat tattva. And karmano janma, the action is born. Why do we all act all the time? Have you ever thought of it? Why it is so difficult for us to be inactive, right? We can't be inactive 24 hours a day. Impossible, right? We are all action-driven. Why? Why are we action-driven? So think about it for a second. We can say it is previous karma, but that's again karma. Previous actions driving into various actions now. But what is the fundamental driving force for action? Is karmano janma. That is the reason that I have taken birth. Is to do action. That it comes through. It is not the karma, the action that I do at any time is more powerful than me in my limited understanding of myself. Please understand, it's a tool. Karma is always a tool to get back home. I am not doing any action. The actions do me. Always remember that. Mahataha, the mahat tattvam. Karmano janma mahataha. The actions take birth impelled under the command of mahat tattvam. Mahataha is mahat tattvam. And mahat tattvam is the fundamental modus operandi, the operating principle of creation, which is to give love and receive love. To give happiness and receive happiness. That is the share what you have, sharing. Everywhere in nature, everything shares. Remember that. That's a natural way of operation. That is the Mahat Tattva. And we go against the Mahat Tattva, we suffer. Okay? Because of that, Karmano Janma. Purusha Adhishtitate. Very much immersed in the Parama Purusha, in Prema itself. All these three things came about. Abhut. They all got generated. Okay? That's the very first step in creation. Kala guna yatikaraha parinamaha svabhavataha karmano janma mahataha purusha adhishtitate abhute. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.